Let's go to Hillary Clinton's running mate, Tim Kaine. He's talking to reporters after speaking in Dayton, Ohio.
Feeling good last Monday, some of you saw when we were here. But then she had a very busy week. I mean, she powered through that week with the Commander-in-Chief Forum and other events. She was diagnosed on Friday, but then decided to do to move forward with the national security briefing, and then really wanted to be there as a senator from New York. Obviously, yesterday morning, I ran my first city council race in 1994 and had pneumonia when I was running it. And I made the same choice to try to power through. And I couldn't do it at 100%, but I wasn't willing to do it at 0%. And I think that's what she's trying to do. None of you are surprised to know that she's got a super strong work ethic, and that's what's going on. She's committed that shortly she'll release more health information. I think the good thing is that Hillary has already released significantly more health information than Donald Trump has. And I hope that there will be an even standard applied to getting them to both to release sufficient information, and not just on health, but obviously we have the ongoing issue on taxes too. Second, I understand that Donald Trump has been going after Hillary today for her comments over the weekend, where she basically called out the views that are animating some of his campaign, views that are treating people as second-class citizens because of their religion or because of their national origin, or saying offensive things about women. And Hillary spoke in a very blunt way and called those views out, and the views need to be called out. They can't just be tolerated. They need to be called out. She said, okay, maybe I got the percentage wrong in terms of who is animated by these views, but it is very clear to all of us that the Trump campaign has given a platform. You can call them whatever you want, the alt-right movement or others, but when David Duke is doing robocalls saying vote for Donald Trump, and others who are kind of at the very fringe of the conspiracy movement, like Alex Jones, are being kind of incorporated into the campaign in ways, or even the recent choices of campaign management. This is something that is really important, and I think we do need to call it out, because in a country that we believe should be characterized by respect, there are some views that can't just be silent in the face of them. Silence in the face of views like this has caused huge problems in the past. Now, Hillary also said what I've often said, which is there is a motivation out there for Trump supporters too that's dealing with economic anxieties. People who either feel like their community or the industry they train for, they don't see a future for it. And we have a duty to listen and to speak to those anxieties, both during the campaign, but also obviously if we win, we've got a duty to speak to and represent and offer solutions that are credible to people who have those. Hillary made that very plain in her statement as well. That half was not commented upon as much, but I thought it was a very sensitive discussion because she was talking to friends and telling friends, look, we have to take seriously some of these anxieties, even if they're the anxieties of people who aren't voting for us. And I think that is important, and that's the kind of president she'd be. With that, I'm glad to open it up, take some questions. Yeah, it starts soon. Look, I think it'll be soon, but I don't have the date right now to offer. In the campaign, I'm sure we'll offer that information. And I'm sure, look, she's going to try to balance this issue of I got to be out there making my case, I got a work ethic in the campaign, but my doctor is telling me what to do to make sure I'm in good shape, and I know she's getting ready for the debate on the 26th. So there's a lot that's she's juggling, but I'm sure that, that she'll balance those things right, and the campaign will put that information out soon, yes. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit troubling, but see, we have the experience, though, too, of spending a lot of time just talking to citizens. I'm going to be doing a roundtable discussion in Cincinnati later with a group of pastors. I can assure you they're going to be asking me really hard questions, but they're going to be hard questions about policy. What do we do about criminal justice reform? What do we do to actually create that economy that works for everybody? So as I'm talking to citizens in Virginia and elsewhere, these issues that I would call kind of side issues, they just don't get a lot of, they're not what people are asking me about. They are asking me tough, hard, challenging questions, but they tend to be more, how do we create an economy that works for everybody? How can we be safe in a world that's challenging? And how do we create a community where everybody's respected? So, yeah. I don't think the latter. I definitely don't think so. And I think, look, the campaign said, okay, in retrospect, maybe it would have been better to just say after the Friday, just say, okay, here's the situation. But I lived through something very similar in my first race, and I kind of know what the thinking was, which is, okay, I've got a diagnosis. It's serious, but it's something that a lot of people manage. And so, and again, this is no surprise to any of you. Hillary has a very strong work ethic. So her sense was, if I was a little bit sick early in the week, but I did the commander-in-chief for him, that wasn't easy. I did these other things. If I was a little bit sick early in the week, but I did the commander-in-chief for him, that wasn't easy. I did these other things. Maybe I can manage this. And so I've got it, but I'm going to power through. That was her way. I'm going to power through. I mean, some of you were with me at Labor Day last week, and you saw when she was on stage and had that coughing fit, she was like, no, I'm doing this. There wasn't, somebody else take the mic, or, no, I'm doing this. And then she did an event later in the day, flew to Illinois, or I guess it was Iowa, Quad Cities, and did an event there that she did, and she did fine. That's kind of what she was up to. So I'm sure on Friday she said, okay, I think I can manage this. And I think the campaign said, in retrospect, we might do that one differently. But I think they made it plain pretty quickly yesterday in a timely way, in a way that I think was appropriate. Yeah, I don't want to talk about her and my conversations, the content of them, except just to say that I reached out to her as soon as the incident happened on Sunday. As soon as I was aware of it, I was kind of buried sadly in my briefing memos and didn't know of it right away. But I reached out to her as soon as I knew, which was pretty quickly after it, and she was extremely responsive right away. And again, kind of going back and forth, and even kidding me a little bit because I have unpleasant. I've had a day that may not be so pleasant, but you're having an unpleasant one too. She was kind of giving me trouble in that way. I can just say, I'm not going to get into the content, but we talked yesterday after the incident happened. Yeah, it is a warm and friendly and communicative relationship. And I think anytime I need to talk to her, I do, and we talk immediately. And sometimes it's one-on-one, and sometimes it's as part of a larger group. But we have a very, very good communication, and I just feel an unusual degree of synergy between the two of us. Even, we've done a couple of interviews where it's been kind of eerie, like I'll start a thought and she'll complete where I was going, or vice versa. So we have very good communication, and we have some similarities in our backgrounds. Midwestern kind of church background, small business background. She grew up in a Republican house, and so did I. I mean, I kind of know where she comes from, and I think she gets where I come from. We don't talk every day, but in terms of communicating either directly or in a larger group where we're communicating, it's, most, like within a 2-day period, we're doing something together, talking to each other. Yeah. Yep. Well, again, I think the important thing is, if you let, deplorable statements go unchallenged, that's actually divisive. I would call on others to condemn deplorable statements. I mean, there are too many people who are supporting Donald Trump, and I'm talking about elected officials, who don't go on record and condemn deplorable statements. It's a guy who wants to be commander-in-chief of the military, but says the military is a disaster. I think that's worthy of public condemnation. Or this is somebody who goes after a judge who's Mexican-American and says the very fact of his heritage makes him unqualified to render a ruling in a case. That is a comment that's worthy of condemnation. I think when we're at our best, we condemn comments and attitudes and ideas more than we condemn people. And that can sometimes, you can sometimes, just in the heat of the moment, adjust that a little bit one way or the other. But if you don't condemn deplorable statements, if you don't condemn divisive statements, then you allow our politics to become divided. And if there's one thing that unifies Hillary and me in our whole public service careers, it's been we're trying to pull people together and not allow people to be divided, especially with kind of old style, we're afraid of you, we're blaming you, you're second class. That old style division, which has been a feature of American politics and a feature of Virginia politics, it just never does anything good. So you got to call it out. You have to.
Last question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just going to say the first time that I talked to Hillary about this was Sunday, so I'll just say it like that. I don't want to get into the character of communications, but I reached out to her as soon as the incident happened on Sunday, and we had a good dialogue there. But other than that, that was the first time we talked about this, about health. I've answered the question. I mean, I obviously knew from Monday when she was coughing that she had a cough and it was likely an allergy. But the first time we talked after when we were together Monday was I reached out to her after yesterday in New York. All right, thank you.